What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I'm joined today with Yermy Kurkus. Is that how you pronounce that?
That's exactly it.
Nice, excellent. And if you haven't seen one of these Chance Encounter episodes before, what I do is I interview commercial real estate investors. And what I do is I go, hey, so I know that there are 5 different motivations for why people are making acquisitions. And I say, hey, which one's you? Then I pull the dandoesdeals.com die out and I go through the 6 different roles in a commercial deal, and I say, which one's your core competency? By the way, you can download your copy of the Dan Does Deals die so you can explain it to your friends and family and all that kind of stuff if that's of interest to you, and you can effectively communicate when it comes to commercial real estate. But speaking of effectively communicating, one of the most important things if you're going to make all this stuff work is being able to effectively introduce yourself. So Yermy, can you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Sure. So as you heard, my name is Yermy Kurkus. And what I do is that I'm educated in helping businesses find more meaning and purpose in their environments. However, I have this enormous amount of love for real estate, and all my immediate contacts are real estate professionals. And so what I do is that I help that investor, particularly the investor, to find the confidence to get out there, go out for a deal, go create real relationships. I believe that real relationships develop real estate, real deals. And so we have a little program that we call Becoming Irresistible, or Becoming More Irresistible. So how do we do that? So that's what I'm all about. And that's my mission in life, to help as many people as possible become more irresistible and have more irresistible deals.
All right, beautiful. So let's go to the first segment, which is the motivation piece. I have to do the thing to click on here, and then I click on there, and then I click on there, but that's the wrong slide, so I go back like that, and then I show my screen like that. And there's our motivation piece. All right. So I usually go through the motivation piece first because sometimes I'm interviewing beginners, and that means that, well, they'll know their motivation, but they won't necessarily know what role they're going to play. So that's why I have this motivation piece first. The first motivation that I found is that some people are making more acquisitions because they're preserving their purchasing power. Okay. If you rely on your wealth and the cash flow that comes from that wealth to make ends meet, then this is you. Okay. The big concern that you're probably thinking is that inflation is wearing away at your purchasing power. So just like the REITs and whatnot, they have to be making more acquisitions just to stave off inflation. But the second reason is my one, which is I'm trading time for wealth. I've got a background in tech, mass marketing, emailing, online sales, all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm on the high earner side of things. But when you're a high earner through wages or salary, then you're paying the highest form of tax, which is income tax. So I was like, well, doesn't it make more sense to pivot to be on the GP team? That way I'm building my equity and I'm not just earning it here, paying the tax on it here, and then shooing it away. I'm just skipping that step. So that's trading time for wealth, and that's what I'm up to. The next motivation is the most common one, which is fast tracking retirement. But there are 2 things that are implied with that. I see a little bit of gray in your beard, so I'll still buy it if you're saying fast track retirement. But if you're in your early 20s, I'm going to be like, really, you probably still have too much student debt to be really thinking about fast tracking your retirement. But the other thing about if you're choosing fast tracking retirement that's implied is that there's an end in sight. So some people, maybe they'll become an accredited investor and then they'll move someplace with a very low cost of living. And, the real idea is to not hustle, not work or anything like that. And that's in contrast to the next group, which they're super duper ambitious. They want generational wealth. They want to buy their entire hometown. They want to have the sports car. They want to have the biggest yacht in the pier, the skyscraper with their name on it, all that kind of stuff. And they're handy people to have because they're going to be hustling into their 90s. So like in your team, it's important to have some people like that. And that's in contrast to the fifth motivation, which is some people have a sector of society. Maybe it's the environment, maybe it's animals, but they realize that they want to have more impact on society. And the best vehicle by far for having a big social impact is by accumulating wealth. So that way you have the ability to contribute much more to that cause. So if that's what you're up to as far as your motivations goes, then that's this one right here. But of those different motivations, which one really jumps out to you, Yermy, as far as describing what you're up to or what combination of them?
Yeah, so that was really insightful, and thank you for sharing that, Dan. It was really, I've never seen that before, and I love it. So, I'm a very unconventional kind of guy, so I don't fit in a box, unfortunately. I really related to three of the I think it was 4 or 5 that you shared with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I related really very much to the three, and I feel that all three of them are kind of like interconnected in a way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So for me, my always since I was a little kid, I believed in making this world a better place. And I was very motivated by Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. You have to be the person that is the change you want to see in your world. So you have to work on yourself first before you can work on others or anything like that. And every morning I wake up, if I could only help one person today and hopefully inspire them to help, they should help another person today. That's my direction to achieving what I hope to achieve in my life. So with that being said, I quickly learned that money makes the world go round, unfortunately. And you do need to create some level of wealth in order to be able to help in a charitable cause, help in a development cause, however you think you need to help people. Money does help you achieve that. So that's why I fell in love with real estate, figuring real estate is the great way to do that. A, through passive income, and B, through this level of relationships that you get to meet people of high worth and have high network. And these are, and in my experience, I've experienced that real estate people are the most charitable people I've ever met. And that's just, I could be wrong, but that's just my experience. So just for you to know, I do not have student debt. I actually graduated on a surplus, actually. I finished paying off school 3 months before I graduated.
Wow.
And the way I did it was through real estate investment. So that is actually how I got there. I do not believe in early retirement. I don't think we're ever going to retire. All my family, till the very last day of their life, they've been working and stuff. So I don't think I relate to that too much. Yeah. Although I would like some time to do, my charitable stuff. I very much value education. And I think the educational system needs some revamping. And, building schools, building, different organizations that really promote proper education, in my opinion. So I would like to have some time doing that. And I feel that real estate could help me do that. So as you saw, it was kind of like I touched on 3 of the things that you pointed out. But that's just my vision. That's the way I see things with real estate.
Yeah. I love the way that you put that. I think it's fantastic. And one of the ones that I've been using recently in my posts on LinkedIn, where I spend a ton of time, is I always figured that if you are talented and you have good enough work ethic, then you pick a career, you knock it out of the park, and then you kind of don't have to learn the financial game. But what I found is that the reality is you either play the financial game or you lose at it. Those are the only
Right.
two options. You have to know how to play the game or you will lose at this game. That is how it's set up, and big inflation is one of the prime examples. Is like, hey, that hit your salary, just bing, there you go. But let's move on to the roles in the actual commercial deal. So we'll start for you in the audience. If you don't know anything about commercial real estate, then this will help you communicate effectively with people. So the first role I'm going to talk about is the repositioner. You see that there are a few different properties there because they're always looking at a bunch of different properties. So there's an acquisition component to it. The other thing that's going on that they're doing is they're underwriting the deals, which is a fancy word to say that they're doing the arithmetic. They're doing the math. They're finding out, does it work? Are they actually making the money that they say that they are? Okay. Different things like that. But what they're really looking for, and the real skill in being a repositioner, is knowing how to find upside. And there are two different ways usually that they end up getting that upside. One is through more efficient operations. So stop that money from going down the toilet. Okay. So that's, there are many things in operations, including like being the leasing agent, which is a marketing piece, making sure the vacancy rate is low. There's also automating a bunch of different things. It's more than just collecting rents and unclogging toilets. But right now we're in one of the hottest real estate markets in history. So of course, operations probably won't be enough to turn around the property and get big upside. So they often get a contractor team to actually make the place nicer. And that way they can charge more in rent. By the way, if you go to dandoesdeals.com, you can download your copy of the die so you can work with this on your own. But the repositioner, if they have their contractor team and they have their operations, if they're like me, then they've got an extra problem, which is I'm from the internet. Okay, so that means I'm not going to be going to the property in an hour. I'm probably not even going to be finding my passport in an hour. So I'm going to need boots on the ground. I need a local to take care of the place, be there in an hour or two. And that's what most people think of as a resident, as the owners of a building. But the truth is different from that. The truth is money's always involved. So there's the financiers, there's the capital raisers, there's the banks, all that kind of stuff. So if the repositioner is saying like, hey, I really want to take over this property that's worth tens of millions of dollars. So they turn around to the bank and say, hey, you got tens of millions of dollars for me to invest in this. And what they're going to look at, they're going to look at those guys, but they're also going to be asking, who's the sponsor? Okay. A lot of coaching programs, they kind of skip over that one a little bit. And there are reasons for that, but let me talk about what a sponsor is, which is it's someone who already owns a similar asset. So if you want to buy a 350 unit apartment complex or a 1200 unit apartment complex, whatever it is, you're going to need, if you want to get a loan, you need somebody who already owns a similar asset. Okay, somebody already has to have that 350 unit apartment complex. And there are a couple other requirements as well. You got to have liquidity, like a certain amount of liquidity. And then you also have to have a balance sheet with at least the value of the loan. And if you have all 6 of those things, congratulations, you got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So using that as a little bit of a guideline, Yermy, what core competencies do you have? What are you most likely to contribute to your team in your next commercial deal?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And actually, you are 100% right. The part that everybody skips is that sponsor part. Because whenever I learned, and I'm very relatively new to the whole commercial real estate world, I've been researching this for close to a decade now, and I was just too afraid to jump in. And about a year ago or so, that's when I just closed my eyes and said, let's do this. So again, relatively very new, and sponsor was only something I learned very recently. So I developed a team of 7 extremely professional, incredible, capable people. In fact, I bring the operations side of it. That's what I'm educated in. That's what my specialty, that's my core competency. In general, I help also other business professionals, not necessarily real estate people, in improving their operations in their businesses. So that's something I do with my eyes closed. But it is sponsors that we are now looking to partner up with because you're right, it's a component that nobody really talks about. And it's something that was an eye-opener. It was like an aha moment to me. It's like, well, that's why those deals are not going through,
Yeah.
And you're so 100% right. You're 100% on the money on that one.
Right. But it's funny because I don't want this video to go viral, but I've actually totally got my finger on the pulse of why that is, and that's because I'm coming from the tech side. And see, one of the issues, like this goes hand in hand with 506B me. It's illegal to entice investors. You can't advertise for investors unless you got a 506C, and then you can only take millionaires, like accredited investors. They have a net worth of over $1 million, excluding their primary residence, or they're making over 200K per year, or 300 combined with their spouse. Like that's the only way to make it legal to advertise to investors. So what do you do instead? You end up becoming a coach. You start getting people to sign, I'll teach you how. And then by the time they've actually, I love using the example of like the dog chasing the cars and like what would it do if I've ever caught one? Like, because that's the trap that they get into. It's like, hey, I got this huge property under contract. What do I do? It's like, well, you better, if you're not a millionaire, you better find some sort of cure here to capital raise for a 506B. Like it's a bad situation, and that's why people aren't upfront about the sponsorship piece. It's because they want to be their sponsor, and they know that the play is that they're going through the finances of your own personal network. So you're going to be talking to Uncle whoever to say, hey, I need $1 million to go into this deal, and the coach knows that you're going to go through them.
Right.
For the deal, because you basically don't have a choice. Do you know any more sponsors? Now, if only there was like a list on YouTube, for example, maybe called, say, Chance Encounters, where you could go ahead and meet sponsors for free without breaking the law. Oh, and a platform like 506B me, where you could document that relationship, so it's actually 100% legal. Who thinks of these things? But anyway, you already said.
I know a guy's name is Dan. Just saying.
Right. Yeah. He's handsome. He was endorsed by Santa earlier today on LinkedIn. It was really something. But anyway, I didn't even know he did things this late in the month. But anyway, you already alluded to how you're looking to reach out to sponsors, get connected with sponsors, and that's who you can help. But that's the next segment that I usually do is I say, like, who can you help more than anybody else? Like, is there anybody else on your wish list as far as people best suited to reach out to you without enticing investors, which is breaking SEC regulations?
Yeah. So right now, a lot of the people who are knocking on my doors are brokers. So right now, real estate brokers are somewhat burnt out. The team of 7 that I was mentioning before were relatives, actually, who were brokers and who decided, that's it, we're done with brokering and we want to be investors ourselves. We want to create our own little situation. And then they, some people saw that, like, people in their office started seeing that they've become successful in that. And through word of mouth, I now have like a little roster of brokers who are no longer interested in, they broker a little bit of deals, but they really want to become that investor. Their clients are investors and they're jumping on the bandwagon of becoming investors. So that's right now my little sweet spot. That's going to be my focus for the next year. 2022 will be helping out those brokers who want to become investors themselves, opening up doors, creating operations for them, creating teams, all that stuff. We have a whole program. It's called the Irresistible Journey, the Irresistible Program. And that's hopefully who we're looking to help.
Beautiful. And so the next question is the best ways to reach out to you. I met you through Yona's challenge, CRE challenge, which is mostly promoted through LinkedIn. That's where I am all the time. But is LinkedIn the best way to get a hold of you, or is there another website or the one you just...
Yeah, so LinkedIn is the best way to get to me, and I live on LinkedIn. That's where I do everything. So LinkedIn is the best way to get to me. You could learn so much more about me through my personal page and through my business page. I keep things very, very open, so it's not necessarily 100% real estate, focused, just because everybody wants to be more irresistible. But I do find myself, just my passion is real estate, so that's the people I tend to help. But yeah, the LinkedIn is the best way to find me. And soon my website is being rebranded and refixed or whatever. And it's my name, YermyKurkus.com. And then you could also email me at Yermy@YermyKurkus.com. So those are the three ways. I highly suggest take LinkedIn. Take LinkedIn. It's the best way to get to me, actually.
Sweet, sweet. And the only other thing I have is for you in the audience there in the camera there, which is if you look under my left hand, you'll see the red button of anger. It says subscribe, and you need to get rid of the red button of anger by clicking on it, because that'll turn it into the gray button of tranquility and awesomeness. Okay, it costs you nothing to cast out this red button of anger, and it really effectively, if you want to be a pragmatist, it means that YouTube pays for these videos instead of me, which is amazing. So please do that. And as I said, it costs you absolutely nothing, and all it actually does is it means that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. But even just clicking on the subscribe button is plenty. You've done me a huge favor by doing that. And speaking of which, Yermy, you've done me a huge favor by coming and joining me today for this chance encounter. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks.